Hello everybody, hopefully you're doing well. It's Tech Talk time, and we are doing it on the Sunday this time, instead of recording it on the Friday. And the basic reason is on Friday I just kind of wanted to chill. You know, obviously with the update being a bit all over the place, didn't really want to go through a bunch of stuff on that day. So instead, recording it on the Sunday, which hopefully, next Tech Talk, we can actually talk about the update and what is going on with it. The other part of it, which is also kind of cool, is we've had a week of some pretty cool dev blogs, all of them being like stuff which is very much like graphics orientated and also others orientated. And I think it's actually been pretty fun, not just looking at the vehicles, but realizing that this is quite a big graphical update in itself. So in the Tech Talk today, we're going to go through the comments of the last Tech Talk, just like we generally do. And then also, if you have any questions while we are live, obviously we can answer stuff as well. That's basically how all of this stuff goes. So let's get going. Let's get into the questions, as always. See what's happening. We have some timestamps to start off with TT Flap. So thank you as always for doing those. Always very kind. And you can see he's actually done them in different orders. So different chapters doing different things, which is quite fun. So thank you, TT Flap. Very kind that you did that. And now I need to sort something out for you. Still need to sort it. So should get that done. Now, the next part is from David Greenway. I think a good addition to the GB Challenger line would be the Street Fighter 2 modification. I know the Street Fighter 2. The Street Fighter 2 is a very weird one because it was designed by like ground crews, wasn't it? Or like tank crews to be the vehicle which was supposed to be like designed specifically for them. So it has like additional armor on it, which is all just chemical protection once again. It has some weird setup in terms of a scoop on the front, and it also just has a brimstone missile attached to it for some reason, because I'm guessing somebody was memeing while thinking about it. So yeah, I think a vehicle like that could easily come in, and I think what would be more interesting from the British point of view, though, is just adding in vehicles that are a bit different than Challenger 2s. Like we've talked about this in the past with a lot of different nations. It gets really boring playing the same vehicles over and over and over again because of the simple fact that it's, you know, it's straight up just going through like the stages and going through the motions and playing everything. Sorry, I'm just fixing my screen. It's just like, okay, I played this Challenger 2, I played this Challenger 2, I played this Challenger 2, and now we're playing the next one. And the challenges until you get to the E and maybe the Black Knight actually get worse. So like the TES and the 2F is not really a great upgrade, and also the OES is in that, you know, bridge of like not great upgrades either. So it doesn't really feel good going to those different things. So for me, I don't find it that interesting kind of going through them. So adding something like, for example, the Challenger with like the brimstone on it and all that, unless like the brimstone you can actually use properly, which I don't know how you would even do, like in terms of the setup, because of course like the distance you'd have to use for it and all these things. I just don't get how that would work. So not really a huge fan of adding that vehicle in terms of the fact it just doesn't give anything new. Like, you'll just play it in exactly the same way you play all of the other challenges. So what would kind of be the point? Hey, Lord Von Nick, nice to see you. Yeah, I did, Master Roshi. Nice to see you too, MMM. It's going well, thank you. We're just playing some War Thunder to get the page of history done, and also just doing some of the you know, the challenges while doing the Tech Talk. But yeah, I just want something different for the British Tech Tree, right? Like, I just want something which will give the feel of something different. I don't need another Challenger, even if it just has a bonking missile on the top, which, to be honest, as I said, it's not really going to work very well. So what is the point, mate? I'd rather see, like, you know, more vehicles from India, for example, or more vehicles from South Africa, like the other TTD or things like that. I think that would be always much cooler in general. But yeah, it's hopefully at some point we can get a little bit more variety in that area. Because just doing the same thing over and over again, you know, it's once again definition of insanity, all that good stuff. So doing it over and over again is not exactly fun. Then we have Dale. Oh shit. There we go. Something I would like to see is an update to low graphics settings. The low graphics settings? Sorry, I just need to kill this guy first before he runs away. Sure, it's going to be a bit tricky. To low graphics settings. They keep doing updates for ultra high settings, but low textures are original. I see no reason Gaijin can't fix low graphics quality by messing with file types and using compression and upscaling for PC folks. However, it might end up being more of a Steam end option. But I do predict it will happen in Steam at some point for local pre-rendering textures using AI upscale and compression in the same way you can pre-render Vulkan OpenGL textures. All of that sounds great. It's a lot of words, which sound very technical, but at the end of the day, when it comes to the graphics, they do also update lower-end graphics, right? That's something that they've done in the past, that's something they've done in the future, and all of the new effects that are coming in, such as the lurk stuff, have versions of them for lower-end graphics settings. So, I know there's been a lot of push in this update about ray tracing, right? Because ray tracing, light, ooh, shadow. But as you said, it's not going to apply to a lot of people. But look at all of the other effects they're doing. You know, like the mud effects, the texture effects, the changes to trees, the changes to, as I said, like the lurk stuff, the flames, the naval damage, all of this stuff. All of these things are not just updating the high-end stuff. There's a lot of it which is updating the low-end stuff. And it just makes it better for everybody. The fact that War Thunder already is able to cover such a large array of machines is nuts. Like, it's insane when you actually just sit down and think about it, because there's not really many other games that can do that. And I feel like if they start, you know, teetering with some of those lower end setups more, you're going to run into more people who won't actually be able to do anything with it. Like, they won't be able to play the game anymore, and that sucks. So for me, like, using the word AI is great. I do enjoy the word AI, and using it in many sentences, it definitely increases the sale value of things as we go through. But I wish it was as simple as that, and I wish it was just something that could be done essentially straight away. I think more what should be seen as interesting for people who don't have good PCs is looking at the whole, like, streaming software idea, which I think in general would be better to sort out. But as I said, they do a bunch of graphics updates over and over again. They do affect not just the highest echelon of graphics, but also the lowest echelon. But just like with top tier vehicles, it's one of those things where there's constant progression upwards and not downwards. And hopefully people can take advantage of that as things get cheaper, right? That's pretty much it. Hey, Tugnuts, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Teddy and Stupid Gamer. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully everything's alright. What's on the docket today? Tech Talk and then Vextra, I think. Those are the main parts of it. And then also just kind of chilling, you know. I'm looking forward to next week. Because of the fact that we have... or we are going to have, obviously, Stalker 2, probably the War Thunder update, and a few other things as well. So, a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of niceties, which should be quite nice. Hey, Ebagza, nice to see you. How's the South African lineup? The South African vehicle is a very good complement to the British ones. But as a lineup in itself, obviously, you shouldn't really do that. You should mix and match and have a good time with it. That's usually where things get slightly better in terms of being good and being bad, so on. Then we have Frank Bradley. I think that I found a great compromise to make stock vehicles more viable without impacting Gaijin's bank account. And it's been with us for almost a year. So you know how if you get the last star in these events, you get 4 random modifications? Well, why don't we implement this for every time you unlock a tech tree or squadron vehicle? One might be like, well, Gaijin wouldn't do that because they'd lose money. I'd tell you that they could slightly increase the RPS LG cost for modifications in general to compensate for this. Nope, you can't. Nope. No. You can. No. You can never do that because the stat. Right. Inflation. Okay? Inflation. And right. We'll get into that in a sec. For modifications in general to compensate for this. How I imagine this work is once you unlock and buy a tech tree vehicle or squadron vehicle, you get an RNG chest that gives you 4 random modifications. Or if you have a premium account, then you can choose to reroll for a different RNG modification box. How would you like this idea? Also, if Gaijin held a YouTube Co-op 2.0, would you participate in it? And what changes would you make to it? So the first part, over the last few years, we've had a lot of economic debates about the price of things in kind of the Western world. Canada, America, Britain. Standard general goods have gone up in price based on a few separate factors. But one of the large ones is inflation, and also how much of an effect certain government bodies and certain private businesses have on inflating prices, right? Now, if you talk to the standard person, and this is something that I learnt a lot over like the last few weeks and months, the average person doesn't care about inflation. They don't care about interest rates. They don't care about any of that type of thing. They just want the prices to be lower, right? Because they see it as I make this amount of money. It's not increasing as much as things are increasing. Therefore, I'm now in a worse position, which is true. They are in a worse position because of it. But they don't care or don't know about the mechanisms of what moves things around, right? They just don't. They just care about things being cheaper and things being fairer to the individual. So imagine in War Thunder, you said to the general player base, we're going to make it so you get a bunch of RNG free stuff that you can't control, and we're going to make things more expensive because of it. If they did that, and it's like set up like that, people will riot. Because they won't care about the first part at all. They will just see that that number that they had to research before is now increased. And if you realize with War Thunder, the only time modifications increase in terms of cost is when other modifications are removed from a vehicle, so therefore it balances it out, right? Like that's the whole point of that type of mechanic right there. But if you increased it overall, you'll get so many people complaining. You'll get tons of screenshots which say, why is this increased? I was about to research this. This is unfair. This is ridiculous. I'm going to quit the game. And you know how I know that? Because after the last round of BR decompression, okay? So the last round of BR decompression, where they decompressed ground, okay, to a point where it went up a level and they bumped up a bunch of stuff, right? And they also put down a bunch of stuff and kept a bunch of stuff at the same level. All I heard from a lot of people was the fact that their favorite vehicle had gone up in BR. And how this was horrific, and how this was terrible, and how it was in a much worse position than it was before. But it wasn't. It was in the same position, if not a better position, right? Because of the fact that it had gone up, right? And therefore, the area is decompressed. Therefore, you can fight some vehicles which may be a little bit closer to what you're doing. All of that stuff, right? So they just don't care. They don't care about the overall picture. They don't care about why BR decompression happened. They care about the fact that their Puma went up in BR. And they don't want the Puma to go up in BR. But you've put it up in BR. But technically they haven't put it up in BR. It's at the same BR. But trying to explain that to somebody who's going to complain about this, impossible. You're not going to get through to them. So if you're looking to try and fix something, you can never have a blatant, direct negative from it. Because everybody will just focus on that. They won't focus on anything else, and they'll use it as a stick to batter your head. So if you go to people, we're going to make it so you get some free modifications in an RNG way. You know exactly what's going to happen, right? What will happen is the posts and the conversations will be from people who get like tracks, suspension, I don't know, ESS at high tier, and then like NVDs. So you'll see a ton of those posts and going, now I have a bunch of useless modifications where now I have to actually grind out stuff and it's going to take me longer to do because of the fact of this new system. So you cannot have a direct negative. You have to find a way that isn't as direct because they're just going to get annoyed, right? So in terms of giving people RNG modifications, not a fan, because once again, we've talked about it the last few weeks, really don't like the push towards more RNG and also more loot boxes in the game. I think what would be better is if when you research a vehicle, it gives you access to, you know how you have like the parts in FPE where you can like decrease their cost, right? Now imagine that you could pick which modules that you can reduce instead of the parts in FPE, right? Like maybe that would be an idea. Or maybe what they could do is something like a setup where in the war bond shop, you can use war bonds in order to either discount or in order to either discount or to get free modifications by using war bonds. So you're still grinding, you're just grinding in a different way. Or maybe they could make PvE a bit more accessible at the higher echelons. Like all of these things could happen and do exactly what you're doing, but you remove the RNG mechanic and you remove the pissed offness. Because that's the bit you got to be super careful of, because people will get pissed off if you say stuff like this, right? I remember the premium modification stuff and how all that went, right? Thank you for the subscription, Cripid. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. The YouTube 2.0 thing, not really. I mean, we've talked about it before. Not really interested in the competitive side of the game in that way. There are plenty of people who are. So I would rather a person who is involved in it actually cares about that side of the game. The major issue last time why I couldn't really compete is because, unlike a lot of CCs, I actually have a job. Like I have a full-time position at a company, so I can't just at a whim go and play a random online tournament. Especially since that tournament was at about 4 to 6 in the morning, which is actually part of the time where I usually work. So it's not something that's feasible just from a time point of view. The reason why stuff like, you know, my streaming and my YouTube stuff works is because I choose, I'm in control of when I do it. Whereas if I have to cede control to do something else, it's not really going to work for me because you know, the rest of my life is going to get in the way. So the balance will be off. The changes that I'd make to it, I didn't think the event worked really well. It just doesn't work as an event, right? The idea is to get a bunch of people together who are already making content around the game and already doing the advertisement that you want, and to try and put them together to create like an advertising part of it. But the advertising for it was weak. Nobody actually did advertise for it from that point of view. So I think in general it just didn't work. I think it would be much better if instead of, you know, just standard battles, which is what you saw there, why not do something which is a little bit more fun and a little bit more kooky? Why not do like races? Why not do obstacle courses? Why not do just stuff like that? You know, things like the Olympic events or even like the tank racing, right? And then just don't take it too seriously. Just have a bit of fun with it and don't worry too much about the whole thing. Whereas a lot of people, they worry way too much in terms of how it's set up and in terms of like winning the event. Like one of the biggest issues with the first YouTuber Cup was the whole fact that there was just too many people who didn't understand that it was more of a fun, or should have been, I should say. Maybe not they didn't understand, but the way that it was set up was wrong. What it should have been is it should have been a platform to kind of show the joy of the game and not really the competitive side. Right? It should have been, hey, look at all these guys. This is what they do. Let's have a bit of fun. But it wasn't like that. It was like a lot of things that go wrong when it comes to War Thunder and the whole promotion thing, which is it just became like super serious and, ooh, you know, people are trying to get others into the program just so they can play in this event, and it just became just a mess. So it's not the way to do it. You got to do it through something fun, and that wasn't it. Right? And the way to do stuff which is fun in terms of that, as I said, is not just doing the standard game and the standard kills and everything. Gotta add an element of enjoyment. And that, so far, is the thing that's been missing from a lot of this stuff. Hey, DePitos, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Kiss Jack. Nice to see you too, Crippling Depression. Hopefully you're doing alright today. Hopefully life is good. The races were fun. Massively fun, you know? Hey Q, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, MJ. Hopefully you're doing good. Also, Lucky Strike, happy Sunday. Happy Sabbath. Hopefully you're doing okay. And yeah, doing well, thank you. Feeling good. So, just going through with the tech talk. Doing well. So then we have Jake, the Tank Master. How's it going, Techie? Going good? Yeah, workouts are doing well. You know, feeling very good. Feeling very positive and powerful. Generally, just feeling quite nice. Good that the good that the dev server shenanigans are finished. I kind of wanted just to enjoy the new content, but it's not out yet, so we still got to wait on it, and that kind of sucks. I would have liked to have it this week because obviously I want to do Stalker next week, and it's going to be a bit of a busy, confusing week because I have a bunch of like appointments as well that I have to hit for work stuff and also for medical stuff, so we'll see what goes on. Everything's always a bit hectic. Favorite part of full English Irish breakfast? Personally, I'm a fan of black pudding. Black pudding's really nice. With my missus, actually, she was not interested in the black pudding at all. And it was because of the fact that, you know, she just sees it as like pig's blood, right? Because that's always how it's marketed. It's pig's blood. Disgusting. But the fact is, there's a lot more to it than just, you know, oh look, you're just eating blood, you're a vampire. You know, there's a bunch of other ingredients in it that make it a bit more fun. And it does taste really good. For me, part of a full English that I probably enjoy the most is just sausages and eggs. Sausages is not something that I have too much because they're usually quite high in fat. So whenever I get to have sausages, I'm super happy with it because they taste great. Hey Alex, nice to see you. Thank you for the raid. And also nice to see you, Bosun. Hopefully you're doing okay. But yeah, so like some good sausages, like there was some like pork and apple sausages that I used to get when I was younger. Those were pretty fun. I also enjoyed some, you know, other sausages which were really nice, like pork and leek. And over here, sausages are crazy cheap, but as I said, that's basically just because they're mostly gristle and fat, so doesn't really work too well. I need to start incorporating them into the diet though, like having them as like a one-off every month or something, because I do miss them quite a lot, so I'd go for that. Hey TK, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. Hopefully you are doing well. But yeah, I'd just go for the sausages and the eggs. Eggs, I do like them, so they're yolky. I think it's sunny side up. I don't know what the term is, but what I do with eggs is I cook them on the bottom quite aggressively so they get crispy, salt on the top, and then I put a frying pan lid over the top of the eggs. So therefore the heat from the bottom goes to the top, and then, you know, just cooks the top of the eggs, but doesn't burn them or do anything crazy. So the yolk still stays runny, and the rest of it gets cooked too, which is nice. But then also you get that crispiness at the bottom, which is super cool. So yeah, that works fantastically. Like I'm a big fan of that in general, and hopefully I can get some soon. I usually have quite a lot of eggs just because of the protein content, but yeah, it's something that's always quite fun. Damn, I need to get some sausages now. Ooh. Very unfortunate. Then we have Mark Jackson. That organic chemistry guy's so wildly off the mark with the SPAA take. No level-headed War Thunder tank player wants SPAA to be even stronger against tanks. A lot of them are already obscenely overpowered. How many times have you rounded a corner, shot a Falcon or Itzver or ZSU, not killed him because no armor best armor, and he vaguely points his gun at you and drools over his fire button until your gun and tracks are destroyed, and he'll just drive up the side and shred you? Yeah, it's annoying, and as I said, like, if the basically, yeah, when we talked about it last time, if you made those changes, which of course if you want to you can, the simple thing is those changes would make the vehicle just the best vehicle in the game, so you wouldn't see anything else. And then it basically just becomes a TTK issue where, you know, it's whoever clicks the button first wins, because the armor wouldn't matter. Because, you know, in a lot of cases already it doesn't, so it's just how it is. You started Carnivore? God damn. I couldn't do Carnivore, it was too expensive. When I look at Carnivore and I look at the basic price of meat over here, it's crazy. Like, we've actually had to start substituting beans into meals which have meat in them, because it's just economically it makes no sense. So then we have Bomber Banana. From what I've seen and learnt, the damage caused by overpressure is the result of a big increase in the crew compartment pressure, not the actual shrapnel. Meaning that as soon as the round punches a hole through the armor, the deflagration injuries the nearby crew by basically crushing them. That's why simulations on... No, I don't care. Not doing simulation stuff. Not interested in random simulations. We talked about how the overpressure works in the game. We've talked about how it's fundamentally flawed. You know, we went through it a lot last week, and there's no point in going through it again. Like, it's simple as. Hey, Gifted Greed, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. I don't enjoy simulation content in general, because usually factors are missed out, and I understand that people enjoy it because it looks cool and takes a long time to render and build, so people think it's accurate and useful. It isn't, so there's no point. Is how it is. But when it comes to the overpressure stuff, if we want to talk about the crew compartment and, you know, it overpressuring the whole thing, that's fine. But a lot of vehicles only have one compartment, so the idea that well, what I should say is modeled one apartment, because in real life they actually have more than one compartment. But yeah, they just have it modeled as a singular, so it doesn't matter. And it's just annoying. Like, it doesn't matter how it works in real life. You know, we literally have the APHE shells in the game, which Gaijin wanted to model more realistically, and the player base said no. So, like, there you go. It's not a realism thing at that point. You know, it's the fact that it's crap and it's awful for gameplay, because there's no counterplay and there's nothing you can do about it, and it feels cheap. So from a gameplay point of view, it just feels like ass. It'd be nice if it changed. I feel like I'm complaining here, but I feel like Gaijin could have made the I7 event better than it is. Yeah, they definitely could have. There's hardly any... Like, they could have easily made it much better. I generally feel like the I7 event is not even really worth it. Once again, RNG mechanics though, so not a fan. So we have Insane Robert. Hello Tech, or should I say welcome to the zone, Stalker. Hope you've enjoyed the series. I personally had a great time in that game, and I hope Stalker 2 will bring back the eerie atmosphere. I don't know if you played it yet, but I also recommend the Metro series, which is also a post-nuclear survival apocalyptic game. This time set in Moscow's metro system most of the time. Different story and setup, but a very familiar eerie atmosphere. I have played the Metro games. I actually played them before the Stalker games, like a few years ago. I had a really good time with them. I really did. I thought the Metro games were really fun. Exodus was great, but all of them had a unique and interesting feel. I actually really enjoyed kind of going through them, so I'm a fan of the Metro series. I'm also a fan of the Stalker series. The big difference for me between Metro and Stalker, didn't run into any game-breaking bugs with Metro. Ran into a million of them with those Stalker games. Like even with the 2033, was it? Which is the first one. No issues at all. No bugs, no whatever. But with the Stalker games, oh boy, yeah. You know, missions not working, areas not working, ridiculous ideas like put into the system to make it so, you know, the gameplay was a bit harder than it needed to be, where you would enter like an area and then just get jumped by a ridiculous thing. That was not very fun. But no, I enjoyed my experience with Stalker. I'm looking forward to Stalker 2. Bit worried with the system requirements, because even though I have a pretty beefy machine and I haven't had any issue running like any game that has come out in the last like 5 years, now with Stalker 2 I have to run it on like medium. So we'll see what goes on. Yeah, the Metro also has the books that I need to read at some point. I haven't read them yet, but I really want to. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it. Gonna be playing Stalker 2 on day 1, so we'll be playing it on Wednesday, I think it comes out. And then probably Wednesday, Thursday, and then there's the Twitch drops on Friday, so we'll be doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday in terms of War Thunder, and then we'll probably get back to Stalker in the next week. So that should be pretty good. As for but I think I've talked about Stalker on stream. I don't know if I talked about it in a YouTube video. But I thought the first Stalker was really good for when it came out. Basically, the way that I approached the Stalker stuff is I ran them as close to what they were when they came out. So the mods that I used for the first game and the second game were just they were just bug fix mods. That was it. So to try and stop things breaking in the game. that was it. I didn't run any like graphical mods. I didn't add any like gun mods or anything like that. So tried to get as much of a vanilla experience as possible. But even in the first game, with running like the mods to fix a lot of the mission bugs, I ran into a mission bug, which meant that I didn't do like some of the main storyline, and ended up like doing the crazy one where you have to go into Chernobyl while the army is attacking you, and then also deal with the radiation, and then touch like the big monolith, and it just became, it was really annoying, I think is probably the way to put it. It was just really annoying, that ending part, and it soured the taste a lot. But now I actually want to go back and play it and fix like that and do what I was supposed to do at the laboratory place where the zombies were coming out, because then I feel like I would probably have a better experience. The game itself and the feel of the game were fantastic. It was really cool. I definitely screwed up how many like guns I had, and I didn't have enough stuff in like the last area. Just because of the fact I wasn't really thinking about it in terms of that, since I've never seen it before. But after playing that first game, I really started to understand why people like Stalker as like a game series, and also what is needed in order to kind of do it well, right? So yeah, It's that was a pretty fun experience, the first one. The second one was actually not that bad. I ran into some game-breaking bugs, but there are a few design decisions in Clear Sky which are crap. So, first of all, you have like the reputation system with all the different factions. That's fine. Okay, that's a fine system, but the negatives of that system were insane. Meaning that if you weren't really buddy-buddy with some of the guys, like 100%, if you tried to trade with them, you would get no money at all. So, for example, for something that was valued like 25k, like a gun, if I tried to sell it, they would give me like 1500. Like 5%, 10% of its value. And the things that they were selling me, they upcharged. So something cost 20k, it was then 25k. So you couldn't trust the prices that you were seeing on the screen because they lied to you. And even if you up the reputation, like most of them I had like 60-70% reputation, it didn't matter. Like they still just screwed you on the economy part. So for me, the game itself, the gameplay was fine. Like it was very similar to the first one. It had issues with accuracy of the guns, but by that point I'd understood the whole like what you want to try and go for, the distances you're supposed to go after people, all these things, right? But the economy of the game was awful. It was awful to a point, and it's very obvious why they did it, okay? Because the reason why you do something like that, and I honestly think this is why people didn't enjoy the game as much. Or people always talk about like the bugs, they always talk about like the story. The story is fine, like it's a very simple one. But the major problem is the economy. It makes you feel like you are not progressing. And also, as I said, because of the economy, some of the design decisions that were on top of that just made it awful. So, for example, in order to make it so you needed enough money or had enough money to be able to actually, you know, buy stuff and push forward with it, one of the things that you had to do is you had to obviously kill enemies, and then you had to, at the same time, like, farm all of their, like, stuff, like their guns, their rifles, you know, their armor, and sell it on. And with that mechanic where you only get, like, 10% of stuff, and you have to walk to, like, the traders as well, you basically turn up where you thought you had, like, I don't know, 30,000 worth of gear, and it turns out you only had 3. And it's just like, what? Like, how does anybody look at that and go, yeah, this is great, this is fantastic? And then guess what? Because of that system, and because of how they obviously wanted people to spend more time in the game, right? Which is fine if you want to do that. They made it so every area was constantly under threat. One of the really cool things about the first game, the first Stalker, that I really actually enjoyed a lot, was the fact that when I played that game, right? When I played it, the cool thing was when I'd gone through an area and went to the next area, it felt like I'd made a difference. It felt like even though I'm this chosen one and I'm this like person who's randomly wandering around, and you know, maybe in general, like, you know, maybe I do have like superpowers, or maybe I'm supposed to be the one that fixes everything. But every time you left the zone and moved on to the next one, that zone, even though there was like fights here and there between like the army and the stalkers and, you know, the freedom boys and even the order, it really felt like you had had an impact on that area. Okay? So I'll give you an example of Clear Sky. There's an area which is just before you get to the laboratory area, right? Where you're trying to find out how to turn off the waves which are creating the zombies, okay? Because they're attacking everything, and that's not good. So you go to that area, and there's like it's basically the place it's on the left-hand side of the map. It's like a standard like military base, and then you like go up from there. And then there's like a base where a lot of the stalkers are there, and the stalkers are under attack not just from the zombies, but also from a bunch of like wild dogs. And even like the Order are having a bit of fun, like trying to gain some things. So there's a lot going on in that square. If you just sit there, right, and you deal with the dogs, or you deal with the mutants, and then you get attacked by zombies. So they attack you, and in this game, in Clear Sky, the zombies just don't really have anything on them. They have their guns, but they don't really have like a lot of resources, okay? So you use more resources destroying the zombies than you do actually, you know, when you actually kill them. So you're always in a negative. And then you do that, okay? So you've done both lots. That's great. And then there's another siren, and the mutants are attacking again. So then you go deal with those. And then, oh, there's another siren. The zombies are coming. And during all of this time, there are stalkers which are holding the different areas of the outpost. But they can die. So by the time that I had finished, like trying to grind some money, trying to get through that area to get to the laboratory place, right? The science facility, all of the stalkers had died. Apart from the ones who are in the building, like the traders and the upgraders and all of that. Everybody else had died. So whenever I went back to that area, it was just swarmed with enemies. Because they were constantly attacking all the time. And the first area in Clear Skies, like around like the first, where you're around like the Clear Skies camp, I made it an effort in that first area to clear out all of it. Clear out all of the swamp. Because in the first game, when I cleared out an area, even though stuff attacked it, stalkers would go there and they would fight. The stalkers would win most of the time. So there was a lot less of them, like other forces pushing back. So I was like, okay, these Clear Sky guys seem really cool. They want their camp to stay secretive. I'm going to help them. The moment that I left, like 4 of the points were taken by bandits. And I was just like, okay, I just wasted all that time. I just wasted it. And then the same thing happened at that place just before the laboratory, right? Or the science facility. So I was just like, what's the point of me doing this? Wait, what's the point? And then when I went to the laboratory where the science guy is, all the stalkers were just nuked because constant waves of zombies just kept coming in. And that is the area of the game where I was just like, sod this, I'm done with this. Like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I became very disenfranchised with the game because I'm killing all of these zombies. I'm not getting anything from them because they purposely put a lot less inventory on them, probably because they're zombies. So I'm just stuck in this loop where I have to kill by myself 5, 10, 15 zombies with hardly any ammo. And then guess what? I get attacked by another lot. And then I have to do it all again. So eventually you just run out of supplies, while at the same time your armor's getting hit, you're losing health, you're losing other supplies, and then you gotta fix all that stuff. So you go to the other area to fix it, you come back to the laboratory because there isn't an upgrade guy in the laboratory, and what happens? It's swarmed with 15 guys again. So you gotta do the same thing again. So yeah, the economy nuked that game. If the economy was better, or was easier on the player, right? So you could actually, you know, repair your stuff in a good click. If you could afford things quicker, the game would have worked so much better. But the economy just annihilates it. So that is not great. Hopefully, that isn't an issue in 2. Because the reason why they did that in Clear Skies, as I said, is obvious. And it's so you spend more time going around those zones, doing the same things, increasing the amount of gameplay. In Call of Pripyat, they fixed all of these things. Call of Pripyat is more of a standard FPS experience. So they got rid of like the relationship system in terms of like economy. They got rid of like a lot of the factors. And they also added hotkeys. Like I get why people like Call of Pripyat. I ran it without mods, like completely, so completely vanilla. It worked apart from 2 parts of it. The first time I loaded it in and the second time I loaded it in, the NPCs just didn't spawn. So I was like wandering around and I couldn't find anything. And I was like, oh, this is weird. And then people in the chat were like, yeah, there's supposed to be people here. And I was like, what? Like, well, you can see there isn't. So I had to like close the game and open it up again, and then they turned up eventually. So after that, there wasn't an issue. And then right at the end of the game, there was a mission to do with like the mercenaries and dealing with them. The guys who were like trying to find the secret laboratory, where I had to like go hunt them down for the general. And whenever I tried to start that mission, the game broke. Like it got stuck in the screen where I was talking to him about doing the mission. So apart from that, the game was very good. Like they'd obviously taken a lot of critique from the second one, and the third one was much better. So as long as Stalker 2 is more like 3 than the other two, it will be fine. And it should be, because gaming is modernized, I think is the way to put it. I'm kind of interested to see the multiplayer stuff too. I don't know how the hell they're going to do that, but yeah, it seems like kind of a weird add-on for elongation. We'll see. As for a War Thunder topic, I would like to also point out the inconsistency of HE shells damage. They either overpressure in instances where it should not and give you a kill, or you hit and the whole damage gets eaten or negated by a part of the tank, i.e. the tracks. I also find it weird how survivable the gun barrels, MGs and other soft parts are immune to the 155 shot. I don't expect them to get damaged, because I've shot the rear of the tank or the side of it, and everything should get damaged. But I got killed plenty of times when I shot to debarrel a heavy, and yet no damage was inflicted whatsoever. 9 kg of explosives going off near a gun barrel or track or a turret ring should do something to these modules. Yeah, it really should. Multiplayer's TDM like all games? Oh, well, it's worthless then. It doesn't matter. That's just a way of elongating the experience. Waste of time. So when it comes to the HE stuff, I agree. I really feel like maybe they should change it up. So instead of the crew being the main target for HE, maybe the modules could be the main target. Maybe if you overpressure an area, it actually destroys some of the modules instead of the crew that's sat there, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what they can do to make it a bit better. Who knows? Like, it's been annoying for a while. It's going to continue to be annoying in the mid-tiers, and it's going to get worse. Now that they're adding in the really modern SPHs, like the PLZ-05, with the laser rangefinder, the good optics, and, you know, once eventually stuff that has stabilizers. So that's, you know, stuff like the VDAR kind of showed what's the problem with those things. So I feel like we're going to get a new wave of those. Hey McFarter, nice to see you. But yeah, we talked about it last time. So who knows? Then we have Maxwell. I'd like to say that I really appreciate the tech talks. You're the only CC of any kind, War Thunder or not, that has such a direct line of communication with their fans. On everyone else, you got to be lucky for them to reply to your comments or pay for a Patreon or something. Yeah, there's reasons for that. I mean, but we can go through those. On another thing, I might be the only person who's going down in SL with a premium account. I got the door in the T29. FOMO got the best of me in the last 22 minutes of the sale. I should have bought the T55. And ever since I had a premium account, I've researched tanks fast enough that I do not have time to make SL. I have bought a total of 11 new tanks, most of which are rank 5 or 6. No, I even unlocked the Squadron T80U that costs 1 million SL. I only have 2.5 left, soon I'll run out. For context, I had at least 4 mil before the sales, first world problems. So, I remember back in the day when SL was kind of a hot topic in terms of these things, and I tried to work out who were the people who were having the huge issues with SL. Because for me, I've never really had issues with SL. Like, I've always been able to make some if I needed it, but I haven't needed it in 10 years. So, it's just like one of those things. And I realized there's like a common thread between people struggling with SL. And a lot of it doesn't come down to not playing without premium in that sense. So let me explain. Well, what a decent amount of people do is they'll buy a high-tier premium. It comes with that premium time, and obviously if you have the premium vehicle, premium time, your research rates go through the roof. Yeah? But once that premium time runs out, you still have that premium vehicle, especially with ground, by the way, where ground vehicles have pretty high RP modifiers, but also have pretty low... They have pretty low modifiers for... what do you call it? For SL, if you compare it to like Naval, or if you compare it to a lot of aircraft. So what happens is you still keep up the rate of RP, but you cannot keep up the rate of SL gain. So you end up researching a ton of stuff, and you are not able to keep up with the SL. So a lot of people that I've talked to who have issues in terms of SL have followed that type of path, right? Where they bought something at high tier, they wanted to try it out, they did well in it, they did good, and then they continue to play it, but the premium runs out, so therefore they end up in a situation where they don't have access to premium and the SL dries up. So that's pretty common. That's something I've seen a lot in terms of War Thunder and in terms of people grinding out stuff with premium. Now, is that bad? No, it just means that you have to understand it exists, and you have to understand, you know, how to sort it out, like how to deal with it in a way that's in the way that you have to then transfer onto, you know, researching and grinding out the vehicles in the tech tree and spading them, and then you won't have SL issues anymore. But a lot of people don't. They just they keep the buzz of the premium vehicle because they feel like they have to keep going with the premium vehicle because that's the RP. And then yeah, everything kind of falls apart. So that story that you've given there, I've heard a lot, and it doesn't surprise me when you think about the numbers at all. So yeah, it's been, that has been one of the leading factors of people struggling with SL for the longest time. And yeah, it kind of sucks. But nowadays SL is a lot easier to get a hold of, but a lot of it relies on a premium account, which obviously, I think the last time I did a poll on this, the vast majority of people didn't have a premium account. So I don't know if that's changed. Maybe it has. I'm not sure. The conversation stuff or being open stuff, when it comes to like chatting or going through comments and things like that, the honest reason why people don't do it is twofold. Number one, it takes away from you creating the content that, you know, if you're doing this as a business and you're doing this for money and you're doing this for all of that, it's what you end up doing is you actually take away from, let's call it the profitable part, which is like your standard video making, to sit down and go through stuff that the vast majority of people aren't going to be interested in. Like if you want to give an example, right? I know podcast culture has seen like this huge rise, but podcast culture is different to this. This is interaction and like discussing different topics that people bring on. In podcasts, you can control what you talk about, and then you can basically pick all the spicy topics and pick all the stuff that you think people want to hear about, right? So it's a bit easier in that, and then you can just have some wild Bill Hickok like character just to say insane shit to clip, and then that's how people start watching. So with this, that doesn't have any of that, and if you have a look at it compared to a lot of the other content I do, it doesn't get that many views in terms of the overall like system. Now for me, that doesn't matter, and it never has. Like if I wanted to make as much money, or if I wanted to, you know, get as many views as possible or whatever, I wouldn't do what I do. I would do it very differently, because that is obviously the meta way of doing it. But for me, it's more of an enjoyment thing, and it's more of a, I think I personally grow quite a lot, and also I think it's important to have discussions which you don't normally see from places about, you know, this content, and also just to kind of have a bit more fun with it. So for me, this is what I enjoy doing the most. And I think that is important, to do what you enjoy, so that's why I do it. Now, the other part of it is time. you know, time is one of those things that a lot of people struggle with. In order to do all the stuff that I do, you have to be pretty organized. You have to be pretty good with your time. And that's hard because everybody has external factors that affect that and make it tough to put the time in to be able to do this. So for me to do this every week, I have to obviously put the time to the side for the talk. I have to make sure that it's ready to go, normally at the same time every time. Not usually, but it usually comes out on Sundays unless, you know, I have other stuff going on. And then also it takes away from me doing something else, which I was probably going to do at that time too. And at the same time, if you are a person who does very different content to this, it can be a brain drain. And that's another part of the time thing. If you're sat here, you know, chatting about stuff for hours and hours on end, about like different topics, sometimes even just like the same topics as you go through, it can be a brain drain, meaning that if you want to create that other content that people, you know, really enjoy and really like going to, you're going to struggle because you're already at a smaller capacity than you were before. Like it's definitely a real thing, you know, where the amount of time that you spend on something is not equal to the value of that thing. So you need to spend as much time as possible to find out what the value is, and you usually do that through, you know, using your brain. But if your brain is on other things, that's not going to work very well, right? So those are the basic reasons why I don't think a lot of people do stuff like this. And also at this and also at the same time, the other, I suppose, like the fourth part of it is critique, right? In terms of War Thunder, my opinions are very open, they're very public, and they're very easy to basically ask me what I think about something, and then we can discuss stuff, you know, whether right, whether wrong, whatever it is, right? It's all a conversation about trying to see where we can go with it. Now, that doesn't benefit a lot of people, especially in the online era, because if you've been paying attention the last few years, you have a lot of people who have private and public personalities. Just like celebrities, the online space is the same. So content creator wise, there is a lot of people that I know that are completely different in private and have completely different opinions in private than what they do in public. Because it isn't about discussing the thing or the truth about the thing. It's about what do you think will resonate the most with the people you're trying to reach. So whether it's talking about how negative a part of the game is, whether it's talking about we need more game modes, or oh, we need more historical stuff, we need better ballistics, we need, you know, Gadgeon to give us more free stuff, right? Like all of these things are opinions that you can't really disagree with unless you talk about an area that people don't like talking about, which is the money aspect. So at the end of the day, it just becomes something where it's better to shield yourself from that, and therefore people believe your personality is through your videos instead of what it actually is. So therefore people enjoy the creation, not the creator. It's kind of like the whole art and artist thing, where for me, the way that it works is I am the art, I am the artist. What you see is what you get with that. But that doesn't work for a lot of people, because then you can't push and resonate certain messages, right? And you'll also get critiqued a hell of a lot more if you do the first one, and that also doesn't work a lot for people, because it doesn't matter how strong-willed you are. Like for me, I feel like I'm pretty thick-skinned. Eventually, stuff just annoys you, and you start taking yourself away. You start hiding your personality and moving more into a shell. Now, for me, I don't really do that. I have in certain times, like when certain topics were quite annoying, such as like historical armor on modern MBTs, let's say. But if you have like a bunch of people who just think you're an idiot and think you're annoying, because you point out very basic stuff in terms of things they just don't want to chat about, it's not going to be good for your mental health. So a lot of people are told to actually disengage from their fan base or disengage from the people who watch their stuff because of this, right? That's why stuff like PR firms exist. That's why, you know, it's why stuff like marketing firms exist, because it's all about image and it's all about presenting a side of you that people will resonate with. Like the amount of times that I've seen comments which are like, what do you mean? This guy's a really nice dude. It's like, you've just seen like him playing War Thunder. Like you have no idea what he's done in his real life, or you have no idea how he is, right? We've had several people when it comes to the War Thunder community who are 100% different from who they are like online, in the online space, and who they are in real life. Whether they end up in jail, whether they end up dead, whether whatever happens, it's obvious that what they are portraying is not what is there, right? Which is basically how this stuff goes. So trying to hold on to that line is tough. And for me, I think being as open as possible about pretty much everything, apart from obviously certain factors in my personal life, has worked pretty well. And I like being open and honest with people about this stuff. But for others, it's not as easy, and also would actually not be beneficial for them to be. So that's why it doesn't make sense to do. But I generally like doing stuff which doesn't make a lot of sense. So we have another one from Maxwell. I bet you missed the 3 to 4 comments I didn't write in the last tech talk. This was because I somehow missed it. Oh, it's all good. Worry not, I'm here again with the War Thunder news. For the US, I got 7-7, but I might keep playing 7-3 to spade them. The 7073 tanks are great. I love the M47. It was the reason I kept grinding after the T34, and it doesn't disappoint. Now I'm looking for the 8-3 lineup, and then I might drop the US because I don't want to grind 8-7 and 10-7 to get the next tanks that actually interest me. For Germany, because of the KV7, even I started playing Tier 6 again, and I actually had a great time, which I didn't expect. The TAM is absolutely bonkers, and the JPZK feels like a cheat code with how much you can fuck up and still come out on top. I got my first 2 9-3 tanks, KPZ and 105, but I won't be playing them till I get them all. Initially thought I was going to suffer because high tier seemed like people snipe you from the other side of the map all day, but I had fun. I even got my 3rd nuke. Nice. Yeah, top tier isn't like that. That narrative is just kind of silly. Hey, Comrade Banana. Nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Zero. Hopefully doing alright today. Nice to see you too, Austrian Jaeger. For the USSR, I finished 7-7 and I love it. The IS-4M is one of the prettiest tanks in the game. I just wish the welding lines in the front were more pronounceable. Anyways, I just got into 8-0. I didn't get the 3rd T-54, and I'm definitely looking forward to the 906. So those 3 tech trees, you're in some really nice places. So you're going to have a really good time the next few weeks. For France, I just got my first 7-7, but I'll wait for all of them. Unfortunately, the French don't get a lot of tanks at 7-0-7-3, so if it was too long, it's not the last one. That's okay. Don't worry about it. As I said, you're basically going into BRs with all these nations in very, very positive places. So you're gonna have a really good time. You're gonna have a fantastic period. I would say that America 7-0-8-0 used to not be good because it was pretty compressed, but it should be pretty good now. I don't think it won't be too great. Hey Carlos, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. Hopefully everything's okay. Alright. So we have Lubdub. Hi Tech, 2 questions today. First, is there a way to quickly find which squadron vehicle is currently being researched? I just flipped through the research tree last time looking for which one was active, and I'd rather not waste 35 minutes doing that again. Can't you, like, click on your squad, and then it shows all of the squadron vehicles and which one you're researching? I can have a look after this game, but I'm pretty sure that's how you do it. Second, why are some of the little squad number symbols on the scoreboard screen different shapes? Sometimes they're different shapes and sometimes they're all the same. It's absolutely bewildering and keeps me up at night. Do you mean like these? Symbols bouncing off my bedroom ceiling and behind my eyelids, laughing at me as I toss and turn within a terror and cold sweat. Anyway, thanks for all you do. I think it's because of how people set them up or what time they ended up grinding them out, right? Because a lot of them are like for squadron battles, so you know, it's just like kind of a squadron battle thing. It's an archaic system that's been around for a long time, so I wonder if it's not standardized. To me, I think one of the things they're gonna do next year, like you can have a look at the roadmap and like the easy search function that they're adding, and then also the 6 goddamn squadron vehicles that they're adding. Those ideas or those things that they're doing there. Oh, that's a plane. For me, that screams of the fact that they're going to like do something with squadrons. Because squadrons are another one of these mechanics in the game that really haven't changed that much in terms of like what they're supposed to do and what's there for them to do. If anything, they've just removed stuff like squadron battles for arcade. So I wonder if now is going to be something where they kind of turn around and go, okay, it's time for me to, time for us to revolutionize. And I think that'd be cool. You know, why not? Hey, Daddle, nice to see you. In terms of, yeah, I honestly think it's just kind of like the profile stuff, right? Like, if you have a look at the profile, these are, like, really low resolution. Like, they just look really bad. And that's just because they're redoing the profile, so that stuff will probably get redone as well. So it's something to kind of look forward to and to see, and hopefully, you know, enjoy when it all comes in. We'll have to see what goes on. Okay. Yeah, I'll have a look at the squadron tag. I'm pretty sure you go to the squadron thing and it's there. And we have Missile Skibbity. Oh, that's the thing at the end. Yeah, I don't do the patron and also supporter thanks at the end of the tech talks because we record them live. So there's no editing with the tech talks. It's just literally we do them live. I think from a podcast point of view, I don't like the idea of editing my words. Right, so first of all, it takes a lot of time. So that's something to think about. But also the next part of it, which I think is actually more important, is the simple fact that being raw and going through these things is how I think it's better to do, right? Like sanitizing this stuff or cutting out certain parts or moving certain things, I don't think it'll be the way to go. And also, it would take me hours and hours to edit, which I just don't have, like, in terms of it, which is one of the reasons why this type of content I didn't do for the longest time, because it was just like, how the hell do I do this? Like, the fireside chats took a lot of planning and a lot of moving and a lot of people, and sometimes, you know, it just didn't work very well. Where with this, it's just all basically me doing it, so it's just easier to sort out. But that also means it's something that can go wrong, or you know, things can move about, and I have to focus on it. But yeah, that's pretty much why. It gets in on every other one. I could actually start putting it in the comments or the pinned comment. That might actually be an idea, because I do really thank all the people who support the stuff that I do. Like it's meant that in general I've been able to expand a lot of things. So this year, because of the support, I've been able to set up the 2 PC setup. I've been able to run them, you know, very efficiently. I've been able to speed up content. I've been able to improve the audio quality of the content. I've been able to get the standing desk, so therefore it helps me in terms of, you know, moving around, so I don't have any issues with my back or anything. It's also been able to put more money and more time into content creation with buying certain games and Also, you know, running certain giveaways and stuff. It's actually been really good. So I'm always very, very appreciative of the support that people give, because basically all of it this year and the last few years goes straight back into the content that is made. So it improves the quality of it. Oh yeah, we also went up to 4K this year, after being 1080 the previous years. So once again, just constantly improving, constantly pushing forward. God. Hey Sibby, nice to see you. How are you doing? Good. You know, good on Sunday. We're just doing the tech talk and getting through things. There's a lot of questions, and I should have really got some water, but we'll see how it goes. But now I'm feeling good. Like, everything's alright. Just doing the pages of history and just, you know, relaxing the brain. In the membrane. Having a good time. Here we go. Little fucker. And we have Sean Kelly. W expressed face. I don't even know what that is. It'd be nice. Would be nice. I'm guessing that's supposed to say. If when reloading at a cap, the reloading speed increased as you sat there. Takes forever to reload something like the Begleitpanzer. I mean, maybe, but I generally think it's fine. Like, I don't have any issues with it. The reason why the Begleitpanzer takes a long time to reload is I'm guessing it reloads like all of the ammo at the same time, since it's one simultaneous kind of clip or magazine nowadays. So yeah, I'm not really too bothered by it. If you made it like super quick, then it's just going to be something that people are just going to pop on, bang bang, and then go. Like, there's got to be a strategic element to it, you know. Not everything can just be like, let's go, you know. Hey Otto, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. I think in general it has to be a trade-off in terms of how it is. We'll see with the supply boxes though. They're coming in this update, aren't they? So maybe that'll change up how these mechanics work. Who knows at the end of the day? We'll have to see. Might be kind of cool. 2 seconds. Sorry, just fixing my throat. There's been a pox in the house the last week or two, so throat's struggling a little bit because of it. Why doesn't War Thunder raid you after the esports streams? They have done in the past, and I'm sure they will do in the future. It's more about they just want to spread the love, right? Which is good. That's what they should do. Spread the love, baby. Alright, there's Crusader done. So we have Obir Zoe. After getting my ticket for the IS-7 lottery, I just gave up. The tickets are numbered and 6 hours in the event. My number is 5.1. Blah, 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 blah. That is without the US waking up. So basically, even with 15 tickets and 12 winners, my chances to win the lottery this weekend are like 100 times greater than getting an IS-7. I'd rather chance being a millionaire that way than hoping for a very, very slim chance to get a digital tank. That's true, but also, I don't know if the number corresponds to where you are in the line. It might just be a random generated number. Because why would they use dots instead of commas? So don't... Yeah, I don't... I don't think you are 5 billionth in the world. I think that is... Yeah, 5... I don't think there's 5 billion tickets after a day. I know it's going to be an event that a lot of people go for, but yeah, like I don't think there's 5 billion. I might be wrong, you know. I might be wrong. It's kind of weird how they haven't shown the scoreboard for this event. Thinking about it, you could actually see how many people have partaken. So if you go here, right? Oh, sorry. Talking about the squadron stuff. So if you click this, so the squadron tab and then squadron vehicles, it shows you all of the squadron vehicles that exist and also the one you're researching. So you don't have to like click through all the trees to see everything. Instead, you can just do that, and it'll show you all the ones that are there. So yeah, the squadron vehicle tab at the bottom here. Do 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 do. But yeah, we talked about the IS-7 event. I'm not very happy in terms of how it's set up. I don't think it's very good. I generally, as we talked about in the past, I'm not a fan of RNG raffles. You know, it's not something that will ever be something I'm interested in. And the idea of doing it, and also only having 12 winners out of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, like just don't bother. Like that's ridiculous. Why haven't you bought the squadron vehicles? There were 2 that weren't purchased because I wasn't planning on playing them at the time, and they don't change price. So like the F5E and the TEU, like they don't get discounted, right? So it doesn't matter when I buy them. They're not gonna change. I do actually want to at some point pay that TEU though. I think that could be quite fun. So we have MJA. Hi Tech, hoping all's well with you. I'm alive and kicking, thank you. During the summer, I received the Udachi from the SL boxes, and I haven't decided yet whether to sell or keep it. I was thinking about buying the Yubari if I sell the coupon of the Udachi. What's your opinion about both ships? The Udachi is better than the Yubari. That's a given, unfortunately. We'll go through the ships. So in Japan, you have the Udachi, which is right here as a 4-7. You have the Yubari, which is right here. Now, the Udachi has access to the Type 93 torpedoes. It has 16 of them, which is set up in 2 sets of 8. So you can see the torpedoes right here, right? So these torpedoes are the best torpedoes in the game, and by a large margin, because they have good speed and also good travel distance, and also you get 16 of them. So stuff like the Shimakaze, stuff like the Udachi, if you actually, the way that you play it is you don't actually engage things. You just torpedo the convoys on the convoy missions, and then you go after the general areas where you'll find people, create a spread of torpedoes, and you'll just bonk, 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 and take everything out. Okay? So that's how you play these things, and they work very well for it. They don't have great guns because they only have HE, and also, you know, they don't really have a lot of other great factors, but that, they do the best. Okay? They do the best at that thing. The Yubari is a gypsy vehicle. Now, what do I mean by a gypsy vehicle? It's a carbuncle, which means that it has a bit of everything, but it doesn't do anything well, right? So it's the same BR as the Udachi, same rank, so you're not getting anything from there. It has two dual 140s, which are your main armaments, which are okay, but the guns themselves, very low fire rate compared to what you're going to be facing, and also, once again, not great shells in terms of the damage that you're going to have to do, which is why it's much better to rely on the torpedoes of the Udachi, and then you have a bunch of 25mm, which are worthless. They're just terrible at air, and then you have a random 120mm on the front. So basically, the Yubari is bigger, has basically the same armor in terms of how much there is, so the survivability is pretty much the same, doesn't get the cool torpedoes, instead gets the Type 8s, which are way worse than the Type 93s, and it's slower and more cumbersome. And its main armament is arguably worse than the Udachi. So the Udachi is just better in pretty much every way than the Yubari. That's at least how I see it. It has slightly less SL rewards, but it doesn't matter. You'll make it, okay? You'll make enough from it. If you want to know how the Yubari plays, you have all of these wonderful wonderful cruisers at 4.7 and 5.0 Japan, which will teach you do not want to play the Yubari. Okay, so just stay with the Udachi, and you know, maybe get the Hatsuzuki from the War Thunder Mobile event, and then even the shimmy to run with it. You'll have a much better time, and you won't have to worry about like any of the other factors that are there. So that's my advice. You'll have a much better time with the Udachi. Hatsuzuki is meh. It's fine. Like it does. First of all, it's free and it's easy to use, and it's just a HE slinger, right? With some nice torpedoes once again, which helps it out quite a lot. But yeah, it's not good. So then we have Jerry. Have you played the PLZ 83-130, that Chinese event tank? I have. I have done that. Right. It's just this thing got a mod, so that's why we're playing it. Yeah, the Shimakaze is incredibly good, and also the Udachi is good for those torpedo battle pass missions. I finished spading it and it's super fun. It does feel a bit over BR'd, although the mouse spam made playing around 7.7 kind of annoying. Also, if a large enough bomb explodes beside a tank, the tank should straight up disintegrate instead of just being flipped over. I kind of like it when they get flipped over, though. I don't want stuff which is, which doesn't look as appealing as that. But I get you. Like it's fair. The PLZ has a bit of a problem where it's just too big, as you said. Like that's probably my major issues that I have with like SPHs as well. I can't trade effectively in an SPH because you have to expose so much of yourself before you can get a counter shot off. And in so many other vehicles that are meta-defining vehicles at those BRs, you don't have to do that, right? So it just means that it's a lot harder to play those things. The PLC is exactly the same. Like, you're starting to get into BRs with stabilizers. You're starting to get into BRs where you have quite a lot of people that can snapshot to you because of their vehicles. So it just ends up not being as fun to kind of play. And that's why, the standard PLZ 83, I didn't really have a good time with. And the 130, it's basically the same. The one which kind of fixes this is the one that's a bit later on in the tech tree, which is on the other chassis and has the other gun. Because it is, a much better vehicle. So, but yeah, it kind of sucks. The reload doesn't do it any favors either. But at the end of the day, it's one of those vehicles that has a very, very simple, unique playstyle. But if you're not able to do that playstyle on the map you're playing, like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're just gonna lose, and that sucks. But there's not a lot you can do about that. Hello, Serbia. Canada calling. Nice to see you, CS2. Hopefully you're doing good. Yeah, it's Tech Talk time. We didn't do it on the other days, so we're going to do it today. And it's going well so far. So then we have Adam Armstrong. Yeah, you're right. A lot of games rely on a group for the best parts of the game. Definitely, yeah. Like we played the Broken Arrow beta with Juan and Alex the other night. And I mean, it's pretty weak. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It needs a lot of work because there are products that are out there that are just better than it, and they do exactly the same as it, but better. Like, Papa Stalin actually wrote this morning. Papa Stalin wrote this morning what the game does different from stuff like Warno and also others. And it says, so Broken Arrow specialism now. It's set in a modern day, not World War II Cold War, gone hot/future, unit customization, and cruise missiles. So there you go. That's it. The customization part is cool, but you also lose quite a few things because of that. But yeah, the customization is nice. It adds a layer of detail to the vehicles, but generally the actual gameplay itself felt very flat compared to others. Hey Zephyro, nice to see you. The main problem was the spotting. The spotting was horrific. I don't even know how else to put it. Some vehicles or some like infantry, you needed to run into the enemy's infantry. They couldn't see. And the recon drones also had issues with visibility. So yeah, it just kind of sucked. But yeah, there's a bunch of games out there where you need, like, there's some game like Killing Floor, right? Like Killing Floor, I could play by myself and just have a good time with it, and like get all the challenges done and just, you know, eke out some fun. But it is more fun with people. A lot of co-op games, or even like single player games, would be so much more fun with people as well. Like Orcs Must Die, like that was a game series that Freeman and I have been playing the last little bit. Like the next one's coming out in, I think, January, and it's going to be 4-player co-op. So basically quadruple the fun. And yeah, we're going to have to see how it is, but the first game in that series was single player. And them moving from single player to co-op to now quad is such an improvement. It's an insane improvement on what they used to do. So yeah, it's very true. Then we have Mertisui. Hello, Martin here. Thank you for the good video. It's pretty long though. Yeah, yeah. Tech talks are always going to be a bit longer than the standard, just because I don't want to miss out any questions from people. Sometimes I do miss them out by accident, but the idea is to get to everything. So it's the one opportunity a week where we can go through everything that's there. You know, a lot of the other videos are pretty like a standard time nowadays, 10, 20, 30 minutes. So like I've been working really hard this year on trying to efficiently use my time and also put some things more together, you know, make things a little bit more malleable, and I'm pretty happy with what I've been able to do. But with the tech talk stuff, it's always going to be longer form content, right? Hey, Cool It, nice to see you. I don't think so, man. They might end up in the boxes, but I don't think so. I'm not sure how those mechanisms work. Then we have C76 Caravan. Did you ever think about the fact that there are people around that have followed you for over a decade by now? Kind of interesting that nowadays some people have longer interactions with people online than some real-world meetup. No judgment here, just find it interesting, as most things in life has positive and negative sides. Yeah, I agree. It is kind of interesting to think about. But also at the same time, as I said, I don't see it as a negative, because I know a lot of people talk about like antisocial behavior and, you know, the fact that people aren't as social nowadays in the standard ways that people want them to be social is basically the way to put it. You know, going out to restaurants, meeting people at parties or whatever, but they never take into effect that you have the other side of it, which is like the online stuff, which is sociable. It's just sociable more on your terms than other people's terms. So you're not forced into situations that you don't want to be in most cases, unless the person is under duress, which, you know, there's a psychological element that we could talk about there, but let's leave that for another day. It doesn't really like spook me, or doesn't really make me think about anything oddly, because it's just like meeting people in real life, or, you know, just interacting with humans. We're kind of designed to do it, or at least I hope we are. And, you know, I've been given a great opportunity to be able to chat to a bunch of people. And they also, now, everybody has the opportunity to be able to chat to basically whoever they want, unless his name is like Kim Jong-il. So the basic thing is, I don't really think about it too much, but I think it's positive that people are able to chat, they're able to converse under their terms and under their, you know, own right, instead of being forced into situations that they don't feel like they should be in, which is what used to happen quite a lot. It's going to have some pretty aggressive social impacts in the future, but at the same time, it's something that will not be that hard to address as long as money becomes less of a factor for people. Well, that's another conversation for another time. Like, it's just how it is. I've been incredibly fortunate to know a lot of people for a long time. And I'm really happy that that's the fact. Because a lot of people talk about, you know, the oddity of people being around for such a long time, but that also applies to me. A lot of people, when it comes to content creation, I'm in the minority when it comes to how long I've been doing this. Like, if you think about what was popular, I don't even know, like 10 years ago compared to now, in terms of like culture or in terms of, you know, what's happening in the world, it's incredibly different. And for me to have like my little area where I'm able to be myself, like I died from being rammed. Yeah, I have this little area where I can be myself, and you know, we can come and interact and chat about. Just makes that a little bit easier. I think that's good. Like I think overall I'm pretty happy with that. Hey Shalom, nice to see you. It's still struggling, or at least it was on the dev server. The dev server hasn't been up in a few days, so hopefully it improves, because yeah, it was definitely rough last time I gave it a go. So then we have Black Hendershot. Do you think they will ever give console players access to giveaways? Not the standard ones, no. Technically, console players do have access to giveaways, but as I said, it's a regional issue, and it sucks. It's such an annoying thing, you know. It's an incredibly obnoxious and annoying thing that you know, giveaways are harder to do on console, not because of any region or any reason apart from region locking. And even on PC nowadays, it's happening way more as well. So like it's getting harder for me to gift people stuff from different places because of the economic situation in different countries. And that just annoys me. I don't know how else to put it. It's one of those things that pisses me off. And I wish it wasn't the case, but there's nothing I can do about it. And one thing that I thought was actually really cool, and this is I know this is going to sound weird. So we watched the Tyson Jake Paul fight. The fight was atrocious. I'm amazed that they allowed people to bet on it. Actually, I think it was actually super irresponsible to let people bet on that, because of the fact that it was so obvious what was going to happen. And I mean, I know a lot of people talk about it being rigged or whatever, but it's not. It didn't need to be rigged, because it's just a stupid contest. It really is. Just, if you know anything about physiology or what happens to the body over time, right? The simple fact is that with access to that show, it was available for everybody for free. Obviously, you needed the subscription, but it was available for free for everybody in the world. Now, it still had a bunch of ads for America in it, and if you weren't in America, it didn't really matter to you, but you were able to see it on Netflix. And I hope more sporting events, and I hope more things realize the potential of that. Right now, broadcasting rights and television rights and all these different rights are a pain, right? Up here in Canada, you have DAZN. DAZN. They do the NFL. They also do a lot of football. And they also do the rugby internationals. Okay? So the rugby internationals are the things that I've been watching recently. I picked up a month specifically to watch those, and also some of the NFL stuff. But with the rugby internationals, they have the rights to broadcast the game. They do not have the rights to broadcast the panels and the discussions around the game. So during halftime, you don't see anything. You don't see the discussions. You don't see people talking about any of it. You literally just see shots of the stadium. Or you see adverts from DAZN. And that takes away from part of it, right? It really does. And it makes it not as enjoyable to watch. Like the commentary side of things, I actually kind of enjoy going through and seeing what they say about things. You know, I think that's really important. But for me, not having that is a huge deal. And then also, I'm paying $40, $50 a month for that, and it's not even a full product. Like it's half of a product. That's nuts to me. And then, you know, with the Netflix boxing, everything was available to everybody. And it was available all under one subscription internationally. And when it came to the online era, that to me, that felt like what it should have been. It felt like it should have been a time where everything came together and it was, okay, we're going to make this international. Maybe we increase the cost a little bit, but at least it's available to everybody. And we still don't have that to this day. And it's actually getting worse because regions are getting more and more hungry for getting their slice of the pie on things. Such a pain. Such a pain. Yeah, I'm really hoping that changes. And I think stuff like even though that fight is just, you know, the fight itself is no good. But you know what? Those two fights were. Not the random Mexican dude and the Indian guy. The Indian guy just outpieced him. I don't know what that fight was. But the other two, like the actual proper boxing matches, I think that and having that many eyes on that does so much more for boxing than anything else in terms of any of these events in Saudi Arabia or these events in Riyadh specifically or any of these other places, because the access that people had to it was fantastic. You know, hey Bloody Martin, I see you. Good morning. So yeah, I'm hoping that in the future that is embraced, that idea. Do I think it's going to be embraced? Probably not. Like, let's be honest about these things. You know, there's too many middlemen in pretty much every single business now, and in stuff such as sports, movies, and all that, there are billions of middlemen who don't do anything apart from make sure that things supposedly run in different areas. But yeah, it's pretty nuts in my opinion. So anyway, it gives me hope. It does. So I'm hoping that it'll get better. But with consoles, it's the region locking issue. It's just how it is. Hopefully they can fix it. Hopefully it's something that they can sort out, especially since it's quite a large community and is a large part of the game. And one of the things that Gaijin has prided themselves on for many, many years is the fact that they started off as a console developer, and also I think they were the first company to produce a cross-platform game in the form of War Thunder. People always think about Fortnite, Fortnite being the first. It was the first that was marketed properly, is it? But you know, War Thunder was multi-platform / cross-platform years before Fortnite even existed. Yeah, we'll have to see what goes on with that. Then we have Striker. Hey Tech, once again, long time no see. Hopefully you're doing good. Just wanted to put into attention on how I'm sure we're at a point where ground may be getting a breather with the addition of more AA systems and the proliferation of newer vehicles. Not necessarily higher BR, with APS and PPS systems. Would you say this is the case? No, not really. Because of what we're seeing in this update. Like, obviously, they started adding APS systems a little bit ago. They're not very effective against the things they need to be effective against, but they do exist, which is cool. The major problem, as we said, is straight up the fact that they keep adding more and more mechanics, which are just designed to out and out annihilate anything that exists, and that's not very fun to fight against, or not very fun to play against, right? So if you have a look at the F-15, Su-34, new Tornado, you know, the Ram, and then also others, it's just not fun. Just getting battered over and over again, and it's been like that for a long time. Let's not mince words. It's been like that for at least maybe 2 or 3 years. So I don't think it's going to improve. Is Naval really as bad as they say it is? No. You should give it a go. It's quite fun. So yeah, for me, I'm hoping in the future that we do get more APS systems, or just APSs, I should say. But I don't think it'll make a difference. People will just figure out a way around it. Like the way to do this is to limit it. Is to limit the CAS element, and I have to say, until I'm blue in the face, it seems you won't fix this by adding in more things that are overpowered compared to that thing. It doesn't fix it, it makes it worse. So yeah. I'm a little bit hoarse, bloody martyr, but I just need a drink, I think. And also, usually the tech talk does take it out a bit. So it's a bit of that. Extra rejoice, they fixed the console sensor view a while back. Oh, nice. Good stuff. Then we have Scyther with tech talk time. It's TTT time. Trouble in Terrorist Town. You ever play that? It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I really want to go and play some of those old games again at some point. Or good old Gary's Mod, you know. Gary's Mod was a fantastic playground. What a great game that was. Basically, all of those like games were pretty much developed off ideas from Gary's Mod. So weird to think about. Then we have Crazy Adam. When it comes to console aim assist, all it does is help those who play on controller to track air vehicles because of how limited the movement of an analog stick and the human thumb is compared to a mouse. That's controlled by the whole arm. You still need to aim. It's not an auto-win mechanic. I know. I know. I understand how it works, which is why I don't really make a big deal about it. The question I have is, if you are on a console, okay? If you're on a console and you plug in a mouse and keyboard into that console, do you still get the aim assist? Because that's the thing I don't know. Because if that's the case, then that's a problem, right? Like that's very icky, no good. But if that isn't the case, then you know it don't matter at all, really, in terms of what's there or what's not. So then we have Whiskey Wolf, and still they didn't fix shit of the game mechanic, game modes, and the same repetitive shit over and over. Take a walk, brother. Take a walk. All good. Kumbaya. Meditation. Masturbation. TV shows. Just chill, man. It's okay. Life is good. You'll be alright. Get a hug in. Alright. I did see people going on about the new game modes thing again today. Once again, glorious ground DC was mentioned. Rather pull my fucking eyes out. Then the last one, which is Hyper MS. First. If you're not first, you're last. Yeah, there you go. That is the tech talk questions. All of them done. Hey Alpha, once again. What's a good nation for Naval? If you're looking at coastal, USSR probably has the best mix of different vehicles to play. If you're looking at blue water, it's definitely America. America struggles in 2 areas, which is their starter vehicles and their end of the line vehicles. Now the end of the line vehicles eventually will be very strong, so you don't have to worry about that. They'll get there, yeah. The starter vehicles, unfortunately, are pretty rough, but it takes you like 5 matches to get past them to get to the actual nice vehicles. So don't worry about it. Like it won't last long, and you will have a good time. So that's pretty much how it goes. Hey, South Slater, nice to see you. All right, does anybody have any questions from like the live stream stuff before we end the tech talk? Next week, by the way, we're going to be playing Stalker 2. Obviously, the Twitch drops on the weekend for War Thunder, and hopefully the new update. So, looking forward to stuff. I hope the update doesn't come out on. I hope that the new update doesn't come out on Wednesday, because I'll be playing a bunch of Stalker 2, but who knows? We'll have to see. Road to T90M is almost complete. Well done, Abosin. I was thinking about playing some Soviet MBTs, actually. I don't know which ones to do, though. I think I got the T80 BVM sat there, and the T90A. But I played the Bishma, so we'll probably go T80 BVM. I need to actually start opening the card packs again. Getting some of those done, so we need to start spitting out some high-tier vehicles again. Get those sorted. I'd like to see RBEC again for spinning of attackers and bombers like the Buccaneer, but I can't see it existing without it being abused. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, if you could somehow get rid of the abuse, and maybe now with the way that they're doing bans with all the team killing bans and stuff, maybe that's how they're gonna do it, right? Like, they could bring back all these game modes and then just start timing people out. Could you imagine? Hey guys, you get what you want. And you're banned. I play on Xbox. When I play with mouse and keyboard, it don't lock like a regular console controller. Okay, that's good then. Then there's no issues. Easy peasy. That's perfect. Because yeah, the aim assist is one of those things that I do think people get a bit annoyed at in terms of how it works, but they really shouldn't. Like, I feel like it's one of those where people should just kind of give controller a go and see if it is overpowered, you know, see how it goes. You'll realize why it isn't. 20th year anniversary of HL2 yesterday. Oh yeah, happy anniversary to Half-Life 2. The other thing was they're giving it away for free, aren't they? So that's sorted, which is kind of cool. Okay, so yeah, go pick that up. Go give the Broken Arrow beta test a go as well. That's free on Steam. And at the same time, hopefully you all have a good week. Hopefully the update comes. Hopefully everything goes well. Look after yourselves. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.